when I discovered this in sitting in that chair in my apartment. If you say, why am I so stupid? Your brain will go, well, because. Your brain works on what's called transderivational search, meaning that when you ask it a question, it goes to find an answer. And for most people, if you say, what's the capital of Arizona? They go, boom. Where did you get your shirt, David? You say, well, I either got it as a gift, I got it from a store, or you know what? I don't remember where I got it, but I got it somehow. You don't go, I was abducted by a UFO, or I like baseball. Your brain knows where to go to get the information. So if you go, why am I stupid? How come nothing works out for me? Why am I so unlucky? Your brain will go, here's reasons why, based on your experience in the past.
All right. Hey, we are live with Mr. Rex Sikes. What's going on, Rex? How are you, sir?
Oh, it's good to see you, David. Thank you for having me on your fabulous show. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. And I don't hear any of the background noise, so we're good.
We're good.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, I'm glad we were able to make this happen. So we are streaming right now live on Instagram. No, I'm sorry, not everywhere except Instagram. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Clubhouse now at the same time. So, we're going to be pouring into some people, and it's an honor to have you on the show. We met, what, about maybe 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago in Tony's room, Dr. Finance. How do you know Dr. Finance?
I brought him some guests a while back. Tony and I have known each other a while, and I love Dr. Finance, and I helped him get a few people on his show, and I've co-hosted, modded for, I don't know, over the past year or something with him, and he's a good guy, and you're a good guy, and I'm glad to be here with you and your viewers and your listeners and the people on Clubhouse. It's great to be here.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, it was good to know you. And I heard you share a little bit on the mic, and I'm like, okay, I need to get this guy on my podcast. And so here we are. And you sent me your bio, and what we'll do is we'll post that in the show notes. It would take me the whole podcast to read through the bio. But you've done a lot, man. You're in a skydiving accident. It almost killed you. And wow, that's amazing. Tell us about that, man. How do you survive a skydiving accident, man?
Well, it's one of many events in my life that are similar, that have been life-changing or cataclysmic events. The actual skydiving didn't kill me; it injured me. But what happened was I was misprescribed essentially a fatal combination of drugs by a doctor in Beverly Hills, because I had injured my back. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't move. I had a lot of trouble. So he gave me these pills, and I'm in his office. I'm leaving his office to go pick up my sister in Hollywood, and I said, "Can I take these now?" And he said, "Sure." And he handed me a little cup of water. Last thing I remember for like almost a year. It was just amazing what happened as a result of taking these pills. I should have died. They considered me a walking miracle. They're like, why you weren't in a coma, or didn't go into a coma immediately is beyond us. And so I look at it as I'm meant to be here, but that's just one of many times I've done things like this. And people struggle, David. People struggle either to make money or have relationships or be happy or to get over some kind of illness, whether it's mental or physical or emotional. And so what happened for me at that time, I struggled much of my life. I learned, I locked myself in my apartment and said, I'm not going to leave my apartment until I can face the world and claim my life back. And so I spent a little over 6 weeks sitting in a chair. I did go get food to eat, and I did go to the bathroom, but I locked myself in. And I visualized, and I affirmed, and I did everything I knew. I meditated, I did hypnosis, I did all this stuff I had been doing since I was a child. And I discovered that a lot of it didn't work. And it wasn't that it didn't work, it was that it was like focusing on the wrong things. And what happened for me then, after a little while, I would say things like, why did this happen to me? How come I'm such a loser? Why won't my friends like me? And I realized after a while, I was really just asking the wrong questions. And what I wanted to know was not how long it would take me to get out of there, but how quickly I could get out of there, and how much confidence in life and enjoyment and love I could find, not all the things that I'd lost. And so it was a major turning The Bible says repent and sin no more. It says, which means to turn away from. And so it literally was turning away from the old mindset and turning to a new mindset that said, I can be anything I want to be, and I can find
Mm,
love and joy. And so that's how my life changed, turned around. I write about it in my book, but
yeah. Well, I mean, you've got over 4 decades of helping other people transform their lives. I mean, you are a practitioner of NLP, hypnotist, master hypnotist. You worked with the law of attraction. I mean, you've just done so much. I mean, it's just so much. You're a professional speaker, life mentor, coach, consultant, educator, actor, filmmaker. I mean, man, what haven't you done, man? It's
I've
but
done a lot. I've been blessed. I mean, I've done a lot, and
yeah.
I've studied a lot,
Well,
and when this, I devoted myself to personal study and meditation as a child, and I've lived it, more than 55 years, but I've been professionally helping people for about a little over over 40 years, and it's because of what I just said, because we struggle, and because I've had those struggles, and I've been knocked down and out a number of times, but you know, if I can
yeah.
get up, anyone can get up.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. So, I mean, you're in your house, your apartment for a year. Like, did it just one day? It's just like, okay, I'm back, or was it like a progress? Like, how did you break out of that?
David, that's such a great question because in one day it was suddenly like, oh my God, I'm asking myself the wrong questions. That illumination came, after like 3 or 4 weeks where I was just sitting there moaning and complaining and trying this stuff and going every day and every way. I'm getting better and better, and half of me would go, "You're so full of crap. You're not getting
Mm,
better." This is there was a moment of this illumination that was like, whoa, you're focused on the wrong thing. You don't want to know that, you want to know this. But what I tell people is when I emerged, when I left that room, what I had lost my career, I had lost my fiance, I had lost most of all of my friends, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to get my life back. I wanted my friends back. At the time, I wanted the girl back. I certainly wanted my career back. So when I came out of that room after 6, 7 weeks, I emerged, as I tell people, like a toddler. Everything was kind of new, it was kind of fresh, but I was still kind of on wobbly legs. And so I had to step forward, each and every day, practicing or embodying what I had discovered while I was inside that room. And eventually the momentum picked up, and I could walk, and then I could run, and then I got back my friends, I got back my career. I did get the girl back. I mean, we became friends again. We decided that we weren't then meant for each other, but so I mean, everything kind of came full circle.
mm.
But it wasn't, I mean, it was like learning to crawl, and then learning to walk, and then learning to run.
So, what would you say? I mean, if you said, okay, I'm going to look back at that experience, like what would you learn from that? Like, what was probably the biggest key that you learned from doing going through that?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. One, everything is a process. Nothing is like fixed, and nothing is a thing, and nothing is instant. It's not like instant coffee or instant microwave food. It's a process. You plant a seed, and the seed will grow. It grows in darkness, and then ultimately you harvest it. And whatever seed you had, can be multiplied by 10, 100,000 seeds, bearing fruit, or fruit bearing more seeds. So I learned that it's a process, and that if it's simple, it can be easy, it can be fun, and it has nothing to do with hard work. It has nothing to do with 10 timesing everything, or walking on fire, or breaking boards, or trying to do more or be productive. It really is based on the law of conservation and the law of least effort. And that it's more about releasing and letting go and accepting who you are than it is about trying to add things in or change your circumstances. And once you understand that you can be anything, you can become the person that you want to be, then you can do the things that you need to do to have the things that you want to have. And yet most people, even current day thought leaders and political figures and religion, have it all backwards. They go, if you just work hard enough and do the right things, then you can have these things so that you can become happy or
Mm,
successful or fulfilled or whatever. So it
yeah,
really, it's asked backwards.
there's a lot of hardworking, unhappy people out there, right? And But and before you go to that, I want you to understand, tell us what do you mean by, you said conservation, and my 5-year-old just brought me a protein
Oh,
shake. You know,
beautiful,
that's
beautiful.
what it's all about. Thank
That's
you.
it is truly what it's all
Um,
about. Is children and oh my God, how
yeah.
wonderful.
And
Uh,
but yeah, so what do you mean conservation and least effort? Like, break that
well,
down for us.
the brain literally works on the law of least effort and conservation of energy. Your brain does everything to minimize the energy and conserve it so that you can survive and thrive. It's really only dedicated to one thing, and that is your survival and your replication, so that you like you reproduced a 5-year-old there. So that's the point of life, and then the other point of life that I think gets lost is it's about enjoying it. It's about having fun and living. It's not about the hard work, as you so aptly put. I mean, if hard work did it, then every janitor, every farmer, every construction worker would be multimillionaires, and that just isn't the case, you know. And Napoleon Hill said it isn't work hard and grow rich; it's think and grow rich. So
Mm,
the brain works by conserving your energy. It learns to wire the things in. I mean, consider this: everything you and I do we've learned. When we showed up on the planet, we showed up maybe with some, genetic predispositions, but primarily an open slate. We learned to move, roll over, balance, sit up, crawl, walk, run. We learn to eat with our hands and then use utensils. We learn to toilet train. We learn the ABCs, read, write. Everything we've done, we've learned. What happens is the brain wires these things in and then streamlines it so that you don't have to learn it over and over again. Otherwise, we'd spend all of our time learning. So it conserves our energy by making these habits for us. So we've learned lots of useful, wonderful, incredible habits, but we also learned to do some things that are harmful, hurtful, and silly and stupid and debilitating. And the brain doesn't care. It just goes, whatever I learned. So people learn to smoke, they learn to overeat, they learn to drink, they learn to feel bad, they learn to think poorly of themselves or others, or mistreat people. So the brain doesn't judge. It has no capacity to make, the subconscious mind has no capacity to make a judgment. You and I consciously do. So we can say that's
mm,
wrong, or I don't like that, or I have this religion or that politics or whatever. We our conscious mind is the discerning element. The conscious mind is what sets the directions. The conscious mind is what sets the intentions. But the subconscious mind carries it out. So it carries it out by making everything habits. Stereotyping, for example, is a wonderful process that's used wrong. We stereotype people, we people profile, wrong use of stereotyping. But what stereotyping does in the brain is it categorizes things for our ease. So everything is based on using the least amount of energy to get the most amount of result. So it conserves our energy. The universe, the same thing. If you look at the principles of the universe, earthquakes, everything that happens, lightning, fire, everything is the least amount of energy needed. It's not massive action. The universe doesn't take massive action. We call it cataclysmic events, but it's based on the laws that govern, the physical world, gravity, electromagnetics, and all that kind of stuff. So
so
go
so
ahead.
let's talk about the title and by the way, in a few minutes I'm going to open it up to people in the room that want to ask Rex a question. So if you have a question, please I'll mod you as well, Aaron. You guys can let some people, Aaron, if some people want to come up. And this is a live podcast interview we're doing for Path to Mastery. Rex is a superhuman here. He's achieved so much, and just honored to have you. But let me ask you this. So when it comes to like the title, it's time to start living life on your terms. I guess when I think about that question and think about the conversation we're having, why aren't more people living life on their terms? Because I mean, we talk about like you didn't say it, but just being a millionaire doesn't necessarily make somebody happy. There's probably a lot of people that are millionaires that are miserable, right? And making more money never made me feel any. I mean, it's nice to have money, don't get me wrong, but it's not bringing happiness.
I've spent lots of time in millionaire and billionaire homes, and they're not happy. And this is the lie that's been fostered on us. Back Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, created the field of propaganda, which we now call public relations. I mean, most public relations people don't even know that it originally started as the field of propaganda. Bernays took Freud's principles and said I to corporations at the time when we became an industrialized nation or world and said I can get anybody to spend their money on your products using these principles. He turned us from a needs-based culture, which was like if you were a farmer, an agrarian, you had one tractor, you didn't need two tractors or three tractors. You didn't need to compete with the farmer down the road. He said, I'll get people to buy more tractors. I'll get them to buy, perfume. I'll get them to buy cigarettes. He got women smoking. That was a huge campaign that he did, was to get women smoking, right? And to proffer cigarettes. So, but they changed the title from propaganda to PR, eventually public relations, because it was just a little too hard to swallow if you were being propagandized, which is what we all are. So the reason why we don't live our lives is because we've been sold goods from our religious leaders, our political leaders, our peers, our teachers, our parents. Everybody can be well intentioned and well meaning, but they distract us from who we are over what we can have and then what we can do. If you run a country or a business, you want to have good worker bees. You want to have them work for little, not the most. And although, like Henry Ford said, I'll never make a car that my assembly line people can't afford. Well, that's not true about Ford today. You can bet. So we're conditioned to think that if we have things, if we do the right things hard enough and long enough, then we can have the things we want, and somehow that will make us better. We'll be happier. And I was saying I've spent enough time in these people's homes where they have everything, and they say I have everything that anyone could possibly want, and I'm unhappy because of who I am. So living life on your terms means to become the kind of person you want to be, to live with love and passion and happiness or joy in from within, because it's a within to without phenomenon. So the more that you and I are authentic and are ourselves and are the kind of person we want to be, then we can do those things that bring us the things that we have. And there are plenty of people out there who have nothing and are ecstatically happy and have wonderful relationships and love their life immensely. And then there are those people who have everything and hate their lives and don't like it. The lessons from like Mandela and Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, is that they were in concentration camps or prisons for a large portion of their life, but it didn't dictate who they were. Who they became as a result of the experience or who they were determined how they went through the experience. And that's the important part for all of us to know. Who you are will get you through further and faster than anything else. Not doing and not having, that won't do it.
Yeah. And it seems like, a lot of times is what, people are, it seems, at least for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, but it's like a more thing. Like, I want more. I want, I don't know. It's like, and I think a lot of people think the same way. It's like, okay, like what's next? And so I have to teach myself. Like you brought up meditation earlier. I've been in meditation for probably going on close to 15 years now.
Yeah.
It's been tremendous for me. I do TM, so twice a day. It's been tremendous. Practicing gratitude, tremendous. What are some things people can do so they can get more? I don't know if I want to use the word comfortable. What would you call it for somebody that just feels good? Like,
well, it's interesting because the reason why people don't change is they're comfortable being where they're at, and to leave what they're at is more uncomfortable than they are. So a lot of people will even suffer severely knowing that things could be different or could be better, but they just won't do it because it means leaving their comfort zone. But to be comfortable inside your own skin, to be the kind of person that you can be, meditation is a great way to do it. Gratitude. Think about this. There are people who are just in love with life and they're grateful. Now, gratitude doesn't mean just listing things. We tell people, or I even tell people in my book, I give you lots of step by step tiny bits and pieces that you can do that can revolutionize your life exponentially. So, there's a blueprint for being able to do that. But just the act of genuine gratitude is amazing because appreciation appreciates, as some would say. It grows. And it's more than just trying to say, I'm happy for my family, I'm happy for my things, I'm happy for this. It's the genuine feeling of feeling it. When you can say, oh my God, I have girl dogs who are right here next to me. I love these dogs. They are my life. My children are my life. There's so many things in my life. I'm having a cup of coffee while I'm talking to you. This is a thrill. This is to be here sharing space with you.
I find this really fun. Yeah,
I'm so
definitely. I love
grateful. No,
doing
I
this.
am. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you can feel that, if you can feel that gratitude, if you can feel how wonderful it is to be alive. My son asked me when he was 16, he said, "Dad, you think the world is ending?" I said, "Why do you say that?" And he said, "Well, because of the political climate, because of all the stuff that's going on and everything that's happening in the world." And I said, "Well, let me share something with you, son." I said, when 9/11 happened, terrible things, people did some terrible things and many, many people died. But a lot of people, first responders, that were not professionals were people who rushed to that building to try and help people. When there are car accidents, people rush to them. When there's something happens in a neighborhood, people rush in and try and help. There are far more good people than there are bad people in the world. There are far more nice weather days than there are bad weather days. There's far more. The reason why the news takes such predominance is because it's the exception. It's always breaking news, breaking this, breaking that. There's this flood, there's this hurricane, there's this, killing, there's these political things, there's that, but they're the exception. There's a lot more good going on than there is bad. But what do we hear most of? The bad, because the news is 24/7. It's in our media, social media. Our people talk about it at the water cooler, and that's how they live their lives. To get out of that, start expressing your gratitude, start expressing your love, fall madly in love with yourself, just appreciate yourself. You know what, we've all done boneheaded things. I've done so many boneheaded things. I've broken so many things in my life. And if I can be happy and grateful that I have the kind of life I have, and I it's perfectly imperfect. Like people think, oh, you have everything, this happens, that, I mean, no, life, the world is the world. It's your reaction to the world. It's your attitude towards things that makes the difference. Attitude, by the way, David, I know you know this, but attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your life. And it's the piece that most people miss. They hear about good attitude, but they think it's like, a little platitude, a little card, have a happy attitude, that kind of thing. But it really is powerful.
What do you consider a good attitude? Like, what does that look like for people listening? What would be
I am
considered?
lovable and I am unstoppable, and I'm the kind of person who can go after and get anything I want and help other people to do it too. I make things happen. I'm the creator, I'm the author, I'm the expediter of my life. And if there's trouble, if there's winds, if there's things that blow my way, I can navigate it because I am the captain of my ship. I'm the author of my fate. I'm the and I am blessed in so many different ways. I'll tell you a secret. Years ago, I sat down with a woman friend of mine and I said, I decided I was going to challenge the universe and God. I'm like, you, like Game of Thrones, bring me your champion swordsman so I can defeat them. I'm like, you think you're tough? I'll take anything you have. You throw it at me, and I will show you what I'm made of, and who I am. And she looked at me after I said that. She says, "How's that working out for you?" She was like, "Why wouldn't you say, give me all your good stuff? Give me all the." And I said, "You have a point." I said, "But what for me it was really
Amen.
saying that no matter what happens, I can get through it. No matter how many times I'm
Yeah.
knocked down, I will get back up." And I'm going to share a study that I'm sure you know. It's when I started my work over 40 years ago, there was a handful of these studies, like on the placebo and on visualization and on attitude. Now there's something like over 45,000 of them. It's why I do mind design and the attitude activator and directive. So all my work is incorporated. But they did a study about lifting a dumbbell, doing curls. So and they've done scores of these studies now, but the one that I'm citing broke into three groups. First group practiced doing so many repetitions with a particular weight so many times a day. So let's say they lifted their dumbbell 30 times a day. The second group was only told, imagine lifting a dumbbell that's say this weight and you do it 30 times each day. So that's all they had to do. And the last group was told to do nothing. I mean, they just they were the control group. After the 2 weeks or so were up, they measured the growth of the bicep, and the people who lifted the dumbbell had a 31%, 33% increase in muscle mass. People who visualized only had a 17% increase. and the people who were told not to do anything had a zero increase.
Mm.
So the pessimist would go, yeah, well, that's so what? They visualize they only got 17%. But think about that for a second. Just imagining their
Yeah.
bicep exercising grew their bicep by about half of what it was if you exercised. So imagine what you could do if you exercised and visualized, which is what almost all professional bodybuilders tells you is necessary. All professional athletes will tell you the importance of your mindset and your performance abilities. Going back to that, the law of conservation, all Olympic athletes develop a body memory so that when the starting pistol goes off or they leap off the high dive, their body takes over. They know they are not consciously trying to win at that moment. Their body is remembering what it's like to perform optimally well. That conserves that energy. And
Mm.
it's in the same way that when we're threatened in the wild, the brain shuts down your critical thinking facility. It shuts down your peripheral vision. It takes your blood and it puts it into your limbs and into your arms and pumps your heart so that you can flee or you can fight. It says this is needed, and it shuts down everything that's extraneous to that process so that you can survive. It's a beautiful process. So if you want to be grateful, think about the 17 or 70 or 170 trillion cells in your body that are simultaneously communicating to keep you alive right now, blinking your eyes, producing saliva, digesting your food, eliminating, toxins and weight. I mean, we are walking incredible miracles that people just don't realize. And then they go, yeah, I have some joint pain, and they focus on their joint pain instead of going, all of the things I can do. You want to see
Mm.
positive at it? Look at these. I'm sorry, I'm going on a long time, but look at these people who were born with no arms and legs, who are motivational speakers, or people who've been crushed and lost every ability to move or do anything, and they're quadriplegics, and they go, life was too short to not pursue my dreams, and they go out and they demonstrate that they can do more with less than most of us can do with what we have, because they don't let what they don't have stop them, which is a huge Henry Ford quote, who said, I will never let what I cannot do prevent me from doing what I can. And these people are examples of going the extra mile in their life and living with gratitude and directing their minds to all manner of good things, where most people focus on, oh, I don't have enough money in my bank account to buy the other TV that I want, or you know
Mm.
whatever might be going on.
Well, that was amazing. And listen, you know what? I had not heard about the study that you shared about visualization versus actually doing the repetitions versus nothing. But it just makes a lot of sense, and it actually helped me understand that better now going forward. It's probably one of my biggest takeaways, I would say.
Well,
Um,
there are
because
many
it,
more. They did ones with shooting basketball and the combined, abilities when you visualize.
well, yeah, but I just say more for the visualization aspect of it, right? Like because sometimes people feel like, well, it's just hairy fairy, right? But like, what do you got to lose, right? I mean, really, what do you have to lose by thinking positive and visualizing some stuff, right? And
That's so beautiful. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, if nothing else, if you would say, "What do I have to lose to do this?" and you did it, and you found out that you didn't have anything to lose, wow, convince
you're the
yourself
same.
it's important. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was fortunate enough to be given horseback riding lessons. I was doing a movie, and I needed to be I was death on horseback, so I had to look like I was a really good rider. So I got more than 6 months of everyday training with best horse wranglers in Los Angeles for this movie prep. And it's stunt riding. I didn't have to fall off a horse, but I mean, a lot of stuff to riding that people don't know. But the more sophisticated a horse is, and the more commands that they have, the better rider you need to be. Because if you lean the wrong way or you're out of balance, you're giving them commands, and confusing the horse.
Hmm.
So I've developed this analogy for the subconscious mind is the horse. It's the engine that runs everything. And so if you get on a horse and you don't know how to ride it, like you've gone to, or your kids may go to a fair and they have these horses that go around and do nothing, the horse will either stand still or it'll go around the path where it wants to go and then come back, and it'll take you for the ride. But if you're an expert rider and you get on the horse, you can ride the horse to any destination because it's there to serve you at that point. And that's the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the rider on the horse, and the subconscious mind is that which carries it out. And the combination of the two, when you align your head and your heart and your conscious and unconscious mind together, it makes you a really powerful force for the universe to work with. And it
Wow.
will work with you because you're aligned with it. So when you talk about meditation, how beautiful that is, because you get out of your own way, you get out of your own, you're out of
So
your style, and you
important.
can allow things to be more, and you can allow that real gratitude to arise within you.
Yeah, so important. I'd gotten away from my meditation, Rex, during COVID, and just recently, in the last couple months, I've gotten back into it again, and it's made such a difference. I'll tell you.
Oh, beautiful.
Um, I want to open it up. We got Justin. Justin's my clubhouse brothers in the house. Records with Champions. We got Jane and up. Do either of you guys want to ask a question of Rex? Any? If you do, just give me a mic flash, and if let me see if anybody wants. Yeah, Jane. Hey, Jane, how's it going?
It's going good, thanks. Well, I guess that's a contradiction because I do have a question, but I wanted to say thank you very much for this room and this discussion. I'm very blessed in that I have been able to allow my life to be happy. And that is very much a part of what goes on as far as allowing yourself to enjoy it. I'm retired Army. I'm also a retired veterans advocate. And so some people would say, well, that wasn't a very easy life. I'm sure that, you must have had a lot of aggression during it. But even during my 21 plus years in the service, a lot of the guys called me mom because I was always the happy person and I was always the one they came to for advice, usually on subjects about being happy. So
Awesome.
I have a mission in that I am trying to do something that the federal agency that's supposed to take care of us veterans seems unwilling to do, which is to inform veterans and their widows about all the benefits that they're entitled to use. Right now, the VA serves less than half of our veterans. And I am pushing. I am on LinkedIn. I have about 11,000 people following me, and I connect to a lot of people daily. And I'm trying to get national media to pay attention and to do what is necessary to pick up the gauntlet that the VA, our veterans and our widows in an educated manner. So I guess I'm looking for advice, David. Do you have any on how I can move my mission?
Well, I would say first, congratulations on having a mission, and that's amazing that you do. I know there's a lot of people that aren't even clear what they should be doing in life, so that's awesome that you have that. I'm going to toss it to Rex on this one and see what do you think, Rex?
Well, it's beautiful what you're doing, and I thank you for your service, in all those years and what you're continuing to do now. And I would agree with you. There are definite needs for our veterans that are not being addressed or met. Now, recently John Stewart came out and championing, on behalf of the veterans. I would recommend, there's nothing stopping you, and we're less than 6 degrees of separation today. Someone like John or someone in the media that is already a champion could definitely help you, with your mission. If they know that you have this mission and what it is. So I would recommend that you see how you can connect up with some of the people who are working in that arena. It's sad that it really is sad that there's so much bureaucratic stuff, and it's not one party or the other. It's really just bureaucracy. It's just the idea that well, I think we've been corporatized, frankly, and I think that there's a lot of issues with that, as far as our and whether or not we survive as a democracy and a republic and all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend reaching out, and really, I would see if you get to somebody like John Stewart, and it is absolutely possible and doable. I can't tell you how. I don't have access to John, but that said, you can certainly find out through the internet, and somebody maybe listening to the show does. And whether John Stewart's your cup of tea or not, I don't know. But he seems to be making inroads in helping or wanting to help the veterans. So if that's your mission, and you can align with someone like him, I think you get some good legwork out of it, or some and some good mileage from it.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. Yeah, I appreciate you. And yeah, thanks for coming up and asking a question. And I wish you the best on that.
And I would add that you can use the internet to find out who his representatives are. I mean, you can literally go on IMDb, if you have IMDb Pro or something like that, but you can get and say who is his publicist, or who is his manager, or who is his agent. You can find these people, you can contact. Sometimes it takes, look at Jack Canfield and Mark Hansen. They were turned down 100 how many times, but if you persist, you will get through.
I was going to say it's easier than we think a lot of time. Like I've had Gary Vee on my show. I've had Mel Robbins. I've had Brian. I've had so many people just by reaching out, and it literally can start by Googling them and just put in a request to either get them on a podcast or have a conversation with their media company. And next thing you know, you're in front of somebody. So yeah, I'm going to wish you the best with that. Jane, I appreciate you coming up in the question. And again, I also want to thank you for your service. So Rex, I'm going to toss it.
May I offer the tools that I teach with? I send them out to everybody I connect with on LinkedIn. So if anybody's a veteran, family member of a veteran, and needs to know about all the presumptive illnesses like the cancers that John is working on, please just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll give you the free resources. Thank you.
Amen. Do you want to just give us your LinkedIn, Jane? I'm happy to put that out there for you.
It's on my profile, but
this is a podcast though for people listening audio.
Jane Babcock. Yep. If you search Jane Babcock on LinkedIn, I'm the Veterans Benefits Educator Volunteer. Everything I do is free.
All right, awesome. Well, appreciate you popping in, and I love the cause.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. And you're gonna get there. So, all right, Rex, I want to first off, how tell us about your book, and how does people listening get a copy of your book or
I'll show you a copy too. It's Life on Your Terms. It's available on Amazon, and this is it. It's Life on Your Terms: Create the Life That You Want by me. And my website is rexsikes.com, but the book is available hardcover, softcover, and Kindle from Amazon. But I want to go a step further than that, because I promise this to everybody who gets the softcover or the hardcover book from Amazon, that if they go to my website, rexsikes.com/book, BOOK, and they put their receipt code in from Amazon, I'll give them as a gift, a bonus, my training. It's called the Mastery Loop. It's on how you master your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, skills, your speech, anything you want. It's an online learning experience. And it's normally valued at $497. I give it to them absolutely free for getting the book on Amazon.
Wow.
So, and I invite you to check out what I have on rexsikes.com, because my mission, what the book is about, was giving people so many people struggle and don't know why. And so many people struggle and want better, and other people just are confused, that I wanted to be able to give them something simple, fast, easy, and step by step, where it's broken down so that they can make a significant difference in their life. We work on attitude and everything else, and some of the things that we've been discussing, I can go far deeper into the book. And of course, I have online programs. I have also one thing I'd love to share with you, David, is the Attitude Activator. It's an audio program you listen to with headphones.
So we definitely appreciate that, and let's put that out for people. I do want to ask you about self-sabotage though, because it was something we were going to talk about, and we haven't got to it yet.
Beautiful.
As we're, I mean, this could go on for 3 hours. Unfortunately, we didn't plan for that. But tell us, how does the brain, so when you think about the brain in the universe, and why is there no such thing as self-sabotage?
Beautiful question. It's such a beautiful question, because people say I sabotage myself, and you don't. This is the thing. We started to talk a little bit about this earlier. You learn habits, you learn neural patterns, you wire these things in, you learn something, it becomes a habit. So all these habits are there to keep you alive and to support you. But if you learn to smoke, or if you learn to overeat, or if you learn to overspend, or you learn to feel bad about yourself, that's as much a valid learning to the brain as anything. So what typically happens is that the brain is main job is to keep you alive, to help you survive, and to help you thrive. So anything that's perceived as a potential threat, the brain will recognize as a potential threat. People say there's this thing called negativity bias, but it's not really true. There's a survival bias. Negativity is our judgment. Before humans were on the planet, there was no such thing as negative or positive. It was not a good day or a bad day. If a volcano erupted, it wasn't horrible for anyone. It just is what is. And we have evolved to have a conscious mind which can judge and label and criticize these things, and rightly so. I mean, that is an ability that is had. But what happens is our brain does what it does, and then our conscious mind comes around and goes, stop screwing me up. And it's not, it's doing what it learned. So it's kind of like every time your child would come to you and say, hey, I want this, you go away, go. You're literally insulting yourself every time you say that you've sabotaged yourself. Your brain is carrying out what it learned to do reliably, automatically, and you're going, stop it, you're bad. And it's not. It's kind of like you create more conflict in yourself because you're saying parts of me aren't working right. Well, you're working perfectly well. So it would be better to say, I work perfectly well and I've learned some things that I need to relearn. I need to recondition. If you're eating bad food for yourself, like junk food, and you want to be healthier, you need to change your diet, or you need to start eating a healthier, form of food, right? Same thing with your thinking. If your thinking is bad and it's holding you back and holding you down, and you think, I can't, I won't, nothing ever works out for me, I suck, your brain will, and here's the thing, and this is where directed questions came in, and how I discovered this in sitting in that chair in my apartment. If you say, why am I so stupid? Your brain will go, well, because. Your brain works on what's called transderivational search, meaning that when you ask it a question, it goes to find an answer. And for most people, if you say, what's the capital of Arizona? They go, boom. Where did you get your shirt, David? You say, well, I either got it as a gift, I got it from a store, or you know what? I don't remember where I got it, but I got it somehow. You don't go, I was abducted by a UFO, or I like baseball. Your brain knows where to go to get the information. So if you go, why am I stupid? How come nothing works out for me? Why am I so unlucky? Your brain will go, here's reasons why, based on your experience in the past. If, on the other hand, you said, how come I'm so loving? How come everything works out for me? How come I always land on my feet? In how many different ways can I discover I'm marvelous? Your brain will go here. But here's the catch. Your brain is used to doing one more than the other. So if you habitually say, why am I such a toad? Your brain does that easier. So it has to learn to do the other one. So it will seem unfamiliar because it is unfamiliar. It will seem more difficult because you don't do it. But if you wanted to learn to juggle and you've never juggled before, and you started to juggle, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to drop some balls. That's why they recommend juggling with square balls now, so you don't have to chase them across the yard, the house. But you're going to drop. So know that you're going to drop some balls, but that the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And the longer you do it, the more that you do it, the better and better you'll get at it. And you'll go through this process of mastery where you'll get good and you'll have plateaus, and then you'll get better, and then you'll get good. And then pretty soon you're juggling 5 or 6 balls. You're sitting on a tightrope, one leg on a chair, balancing with a chainsaw, a bowling ball, and an egg doing this thing. And it's because you went through the process, which is where we started this conversation. It's a process. So it's a process to learn to think differently. And when you start doing it, it will seem foreign because it's not what you normally naturally do, especially if you're mostly predominantly focused on the other stuff. But you can retrain that. And that's what the good news is that once you retrain it, it's just like training your dog or your horse or whatever it is, it'll start serving you the way that you want to be served. So don't slap yourself up. If you notice you're doing something wrong, or you said, oh, I just said I was stupid, pat yourself on the back for recognizing that. That awareness is where the beginning of change is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know it, you don't know it. But if you can go, wow, I just called myself stupid. You're not congratulating yourself for calling yourself stupid. You're congratulating yourself for noticing that that's what you did. And you can say, well, I would have said that in the past. What I really mean is I am really learning, and everything I can do, I am beginning to learn, and I can learn easily and effortlessly and with fun to change the way I think. So first thing is thank you for the awareness. Awareness is
Yeah.
the key to change. It's where we learn everything. If you don't know you have a bad habit, you don't know. It's what's outside of your consciousness that runs the show. But I hope I answered your question about self-sabotage, because there's really no such thing. It really
Mm.
is the brain doing what it's learned to do, and then we're calling it sabotage. But the brain is just carrying out what it's designed to do.
Just doing what it does.
It's like saying your computer my computer is sabotaging me because when I use a keypad, it somehow misspells things.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a VA that used to always I'm going to sound like a jerk, but I used to always she used to mess things up, and she would always blame it on the technology or the CRM, and I'm like, no, technology is never broken. It's the person setting up the technology, right? And she just didn't understand that. So that's kind of what you just reminded me of. It's just
Well, and we've been conditioned to do that. We've been conditioned to blame the circumstances, the events, the people, the machinery, the mechanics, the animals, everything, but take responsibility for ourselves to change ourselves, because you can have the most beautiful and magnificent and wonderful life when you decide I'm the one in charge. If everything else is in charge, you can't do much. But if you're
yeah,
the one in charge, and that's what Viktor Frankl and Nelson Mandela had taught us, is that even though they were in horrible circumstances, they were still at charge. They were at cause in their heart. They didn't let their captors or their jailers prevent them from being full on, human beings with a life and love. And when they got out, they helped change the world.
I love it, man. Well, I this has been super enjoyable for me. Appreciate you, man, doing this. And this is we got to do this again, because I've been thinking lately, like I've always done 30 to maybe 40-minute podcasts, but now I'm watching like some, like the Joe Rogans and the Lex Friedmans, and some of these guys are doing 2-3 hours, and I'm thinking, should I get
Happy
into
to.
that?
Happy
Yeah.
to.
So
Well, we
maybe
could go.
I'll be the first one.
Well, we could go. I would love that. And if the opportunity arises that we could do it also in the clubhouse room, that would be fantastic too. But I love this, and I'm so grateful for you and your podcast, and for all the things that you've been doing to help people change their mindset and live their lives successfully. So you are a
Oh,
champion in that arena, and I'm
bro,
happy
I
to be.
just got 48 minutes of free coaching from you, man. So I appreciate you, and I get it from, that's what I do. I reach out to people that know what they're talking about, and I say, let me get you on the show. It's a great hack, man.
Well, it's beautiful. I can't tell you
Yeah.
again. I'm really, I am. I'm honored. I'm totally honored, and I'm so glad that people are listening in Clubhouse and wherever they're listening live stream, and wherever
Yeah.
this goes afterwards. I mean, it's fantastic. What a
We had
wow! What
275 people came through, and yeah, we had a nice little room going. We have 43 people hanging out in here right now. So, just we're blessed, man. Blessed we can do that. Serve some
beautiful.
people. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And I will ask you the final question. What Path to Mastery, name of the podcast, what does Path to Mastery mean to you in closing?
What is path to mastery?
What does that mean to you? Path
Oh,
to Mastery.
well, first off, that mastery is absolutely possible, and there's a way to get there. And what I always like to say is correct repetition done consistently for long enough is the way you master things in. And when you master something, the beautiful part about mastery is that you've heard of it, unconscious incompetence,
Of
the
course.
four
Yeah.
stages of learning, right? And then
Yep.
there's conscious incompetence, and then there's
Steve
conscious
Covey.
competence, and then there's unconscious competence. Well, most of people, when they're practicing these kinds of things or law of attraction, find themselves in the conscious competence phase. They're trying to talk themselves through it, like when you learn to drive. But ultimately, what happened when you learn to drive or ride a bike or whatever it might be is it became automatic, it became reliable. You don't have to think about it. The subconscious mind carries it out. That's mastery. When it's automatic and reliable, and you can do it whenever you want to, need to, choose to, or otherwise, spontaneously find yourself optimally performing. So, beautiful title of a show, because it's so awesome, because path to mastery implies that you can get there,
It's
and I love
interesting.
that.
Oh, I love it too. That's awesome. I'm glad you said that. I also believe that there's always another level. That's kind of my thinking. And yes, I think there's a level of mastery, and then I'm always like, okay, what I want to get to that next level, like
Well,
whatever that is. But and yeah, I'll let you. Yeah. What were we going
I
to say?
just wanted to say I agree with you. Mastery is a lifelong process. It's not that you master something and they're done. It's that you continue to evolve. And as long as you're on this planet in this sentient rental vehicle, you have the opportunity to continue to explore and to master and to increase your abilities. That's why it's all the process, and a process is never done, and it's never complete, and it's never a frozen thing. It's yeah. One last thing. People talk about the brain like it's a computer. I always think of it like a jungle. It's living, it's thriving, it's growing. The whole notion of neuroplasticity is because jungles grow. They team, they thrive with life, and so do you and I, and so do ourselves. And when you're grateful and you're moving forward and you understand this, then you're teaming with life. And if you're not going to master life, is my point, but you can live life as if you're a master.
I love that. Perfect. Well, Rex, again, appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Everyone in Clubhouse, appreciate y'all hanging out. This will be live on Path to Mastery podcast. So please make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And don't forget to follow the Breakfast with Champions Club and Mr. Glenn Lundy, who lets us use this club. So thank you, everybody, and have a phenomenal rest of your day.